20. Mr. Klugarsh, exactly is hyperstellar archaeology? Aln Mndlshn asked. You know what archaeology is, don't you? Samuel Klugarsh asked him. Sure, Aln Mndlshn said. Archaeology is the scientific study of life and culture of ancient peoples through the excavation of ancient sites, relics, artifacts, etc., etc. Aln Mndlshn was great at definitions because all of his word power books. That's almost right, Samuel Klugarsh said. Close enough for the purposes of our discussion. Aln Mndlshn looked bugged. Now, Samuel Klugarsh said, hyperstellar archaeology differs from ordinary archaeology in two ways. Firstly, it concerns itself with the study of lost civilizations, such as Atlantis, Mu, or Lemuria, and the lesser-known lost civilizations such as Waka Waka and Nasfulia and Shabalmin. The second way in which hyperstellar archaeology differs from the regular kind is that instead of digging in the ground to find out about the ordinary life of these lost cultures, we look for clues to their existence in our everyday culture of the present. You see, in times past, beings from other planets came to Earth many times in order to study the activities of Earth life forms. Occasionally, extraterrestrials took human form in order to study human activity without making anyone self-conscious. In some cases, the scholars from other planets left records, which hyperstellar archaeology decodes. I'll give you an easy example. Nasfu Cola, which is about the third most popular soda pop in these parts, is made from an ancient formula salvaged from the lost city of Nafsulia. Walter C. Gull, the multimillionaire who developed Nafsu Cola, was a student of hyperstellar archaeology. He found the formula disguised in a coded document which appeared to be a list of outdated post office regulations. As a hyperstellar archaeologist, Gull instantly recognized the document as encoding of Nafsulian material. He decoded it, decided to mix up a batch of the stuff, and began to sell it, and the rest is history. I never tasted Nafsu Cola, although I knew that it existed. Every now and then you run across it in some out-of-the-way candy store, the sort of place that sells moxie and jelly beans by the scoop. I had no idea that it was the third most popular soft drink. Samuel Klugarsh was talking. Along with the course, I will include a copy of Yojimbo's Japanese English Dictionary, vital for any student of hyperstellar archaeology, and two magic gems from the lost culture of Waka Waka. He dug into the file cabinet and came up with 2 stones. They looked a lot like Uncle Boris's magic gems that had been the idol's eyes. Those stones, they don't vibrate or light up or anything, do they? Why, bless your heart, of course they do, Samuel Klugarsh said. Of course, we don't have the sophisticated energy sources they had in ancient Waka Waka, so I've had these converted. You just unscrew them in the middle, like this, and drop in a 1.3 volt HC-type hearing aid battery. In good old Waka Waka, all you had to do was expose the magic gem to the great laser energy source in the middle of Waka Waka City, and they'd have power for a year. But you'll find out more about that when you study your course. Shall I wrap it up? Oh, by the way, you get a specially fitted red manila folder that holds Hyperstellar Archaeology course, the magic gems, and Yojimbo's Japanese English Dictionary, vital to the study of HA. What do you say? I knew this wasn't a good idea. Aln Mndlshn knew this wasn't a good idea. Neither one of us could say why, but we gave Samuel Klugarsh our $18.50 and our Omega meter and our Klugarsh mind control course. Samuel Klugarsh put the HA course, the Japanese English Dictionary, and the 2 magic gems into a perfectly ordinary red manila folder, the kind with the red ribbon stapled to it that ties it around. We hadn't even bothered to ask why the Japanese English Dictionary. We figured it would all become more or less clear as time went by. Another thing that Aln Mndlshn and I were feeling, we were not finished with Samuel Klugarsh. We would never be finished with Samuel Klugarsh. As we left the store, he called out after us, "Don't forget, when you're through with that course, you can trade it in. It's worth $13.50 towards your next purchase, and you can keep the dictionary and the magic gems." There were a lot of pages in the Hyperstellar Archaeology course, and, unlike the Mind Control course, they were filled with tiny, smudged mimeographic typing. Aln Mndlshn and I spent the whole weekend either at his house or mine reading the HA course. We take turns reading to each other, or just take turns reading a chapter silently while the other guy slept or had something to eat or played with the dog. By Sunday night, we had gotten most of the thing read, but not necessarily understood. There were lots of confusing things in the course. A thing we did a lot while we were reading the HA course was play with the magic gems. On close inspection, they seemed to be made of plastic rather than some kind of stone, but they were nice just the same. They buzzed and jumped and vibrated in our hands, and sometimes they would flicker or light up. The HA course didn't say anything about them, and we didn't have much of an idea what they were about, but they were pretty though. The other thing that didn't make sense for a while was Yojimbo's Japanese-English dictionary. We couldn't figure out what it had to do with hyperstellar archaeology for the longest time. We did, though, when we were almost to the end of the course, but that came later. The course, which really was just a book, told how there were clues to the existence of ancient civilizations all around us. It gave lots of examples. It said that certain modern words in the modern languages are really Lemurian or Lantinian words. It said that the Haya and Dun were the two most important Nafsulian gods, and that when people meet in America and Australia and say, "How are you doing?" they're actually repeating an ancient Nafsulian greeting. The course also said that the native populations of North America and Australia both came from Nafsulia. It said that the potato was not a native crop to this planet, and that the people of Waka Waka had introduced it when they migrated to Earth from their native planet of Hakuhola. The course was full of bits of information like that, but didn't prove any of them. Aln Mndlshn discussed whether anything in the course was true. It could have all been made up. The whole thing was written by a Professor Keith Brian Sverdlov of the Miskatonic University. He could have been lying. I don't see where any of this is scientific, Aln Mndlshn said. Scientific means the theories of this book should be supported by experiments or tests that we can duplicate ourselves and see if they work. This book just says that kosher salami originally came from the planet Pluto, where the people who colonized the ancient lost city of Shabam. Doesn't say whether we should think so, or even give us any idea whether Shabam existed. As far as I can tell, the whole thing could be fake. Of course, we hadn't finished reading the course. It was before Sunday evening that we still had our doubts. Still, we kept pushing on. We kept reading the thing, even though it seemed to be one wild claim after another. For example, the book said that chickens were actually a degenerate form of an animal much smarter than humans that had existed in Mu. It said that there are occasionally throwback genius chickens about as intelligent as Einstein. Then it would go on to say something else equally weird, like saying that packaged chocolate pudding would turn into deadly explosive if one easily obtainable ingredient were added. Naturally, it didn't say what that easily obtainable ingredient was, and there was no cases of genius chickens as smart as Einstein listed, so someone could go and look them up. It was a frustrating book. I would have quit plowing through the hard-to-read mimeograph-type pages if Aln Mndlshn had said something, and I think if I had said something, he would have quit. But it had become one of those things that you finish because you have to finish it, because the other guy is going to finish it. It was a self-boring contest between Mndlshn and me.